Hi, how are you guys doing? Welcome to tonight's AuthorCast. I'm actually coming to you late. Yes, I can't believe it. Everybody's out of the house. It's just me and Diamond. That's the puppy. Listen, now, my little one may be running in here soon, so if she does, you're going to hear my front door. You know how that goes. My office is right off on the side. Hi there, LaTanya. Thank you so much for joining me. I love LaTanya. She's always here for me. Listen, the song that's in the background is so fitting for today's author training. It's called You Make Me Brave by Bethel Music. Oh my gosh. I love this song. I love this song. It's being played right now on our station, I Worship 96. You can find more really great music by going to iworship96.com. Listen, today's AuthorCast is going to be short, but it is going to be so amazing for you to take what I'm about to talk to you about and to apply it. We're going to be talking about how to create an irresistible elevator pitch or speech for your book. This is the one thing that I think a lot of authors, we all make this mistake. We make this mistake where we write the book, we spend all this time writing our book, we spend all this time, trying to promote the book, and we don't look at the fact that our promotion starts with us and being able to effectively talk about our book in a way that makes people want to purchase the book. So I will tell you very quickly, if this is your first time joining me on one of my lives, I'm Tameka Hall. I'm the CEO and Chief Designer of Tameka Inc. So if you're a faith-based author, then we work directly for you. We design your book from the inside out. We make it look amazing on the inside. We design really beautiful covers. We can also translate your book into Spanish. We make it available for publishing in paperback as well as in Kindle, and we make sure that it is available worldwide. Boom! That's my elevator speech for Tameka Inc. If you're interested in learning more about the company, go to www.tamekainc.com. Absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about getting irresistible, right? So I will tell you this, 10 years ago, a lot of people, I don't talk about it a whole lot now, but a couple of years ago, I was very heavy into doing pageants, and I actually was invited to judge a national pageant. I think it was an international pageant at the time. And I'd written a book for pageant contestants, teaching them how to communicate better and more effectively, especially in their stage presence and in their interview. So one of the, thank you guys so much for the faces and the hearts and stuff. One of the contestants later on came to me and said, okay, I see that you wrote a book. Now, I will be honest, she didn't have the best interview at all. She really could have used my book, but she asked me this question. She said, I got to get my thinking pen. It's going to be a pencil tonight. She said, hi, Shakita, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. So she asked me this question. She said, why do I need your book? So I was like, I had no idea how to answer this question. And mind you, again, I like I said, she wasn't the best communicator. So I kind of looked around, and so I kind of told her what the book was about. I said, well, it's a book about pageant communication and being able to communicate better for your interview. So she says to me, she got right in my face. She was like, I know I'm right in the camera. She says, why do I need your book? That's how I imagine her to do it. Like, it was all in slow motion. And I'm sitting here looking at her like, I said, well, you're great. This is exactly what I said. Well, you did really, really good at your interview. And so, I think that it could help you, but I think that you did really, really, I'm bouncing all around, I was 26 at the time, but I'm bouncing all around trying to answer this question. I will tell you that she did not buy my book. Go figure, right? She didn't buy my book because I couldn't tell her why she needed to buy my book. And when I was walking away from her, my husband turned to me, and at the time we were just dating, but he turns to me and he says, yo, like, you need an elevator speech. And I was like, I don't know how to make one. I'm like really dramatic. I was like, I don't even know how to do that. I was just so mad because I did not sell this book. So I was like, I don't know how to do an elevator speech. I don't know what to do about that. So he was like, you need to be able to tell people why they need to buy your book. Yeah, up close and personal, LaTanya. Just, why do I need your book? I'm like, girl, back out of my personal space and just buy it. You'll see why you need it. But, trying to force somebody's hand into buying your book is never going to work, right? So After that, I was like, I am never going to be stumped like this again. I mean, he gave me some of the best advice that day, where he's like, you need an elevator speech. You need to be able to tell people why they should purchase your books. You need to be able to do that. So we're gonna be talking about that tonight. So the first thing that you have to know is you got to know what your book is about. I mean, you wrote it, right? You wrote it, but what is it really about? What does your content? What does your content do for other people? Who is it written for? Now, I'm gonna tell you, yesterday I talked about how to find your target audience. This is one of the ways that your target audience is going to work on your behalf. As soon as you know who your target audience is, you know exactly who you need to talk to and to deliver your elevator speech. So, for example, yesterday I talked about my book, Smarty Puffs, the book that I wrote for children of color. It's a bilingual book for children of color. And I happened to, this woman and I were talking at an event that my girls had last week, and the kids were outside playing. And so she's talking about how she used to travel all over the world. So I talked about all my experience as a military brat. And then I just kind of slipped it in there and was like, yeah, you know, I love language so much. I just recently released a new book. And because I knew who my target audience was, I will tell you, my target audience is truly, it's African American women, okay? She was not African American, but she was a woman, and she was talking about the beauty of language and the beauty of traveling. So I just slipped in there that I wrote a book. And then come to find out, she is one of the head people of Head Start in this area. So she was like, oh, I'm going to get your books for all of my kids. And then I said, well, that's great. I would love to come and do an author talk for you. So here we go. We opened up a whole new revenue stream for my book right in my area. I did the same thing with the doctor's appointment that I had a couple weeks ago. She was not even my target audience, but it was a woman, and she enjoyed culture. So I just happened to talk to my doctor about it, and now I've established a relationship where she's going to be buying my books for young kids to pass out in her doctor's office, right? So knowing what your book is about, knowing who your target audience is, helps you to understand when you can slip that into a conversation. Even when you don't think that it would probably go, sometimes it just works. And listen, people are always impressed with an author, right? And sometimes they'll just buy your book just because. And that's great, because we want to make those coins, honey. All right. So the biggest question is, what is the elevator speech? Okay. So this is your moment when you are in front of somebody and they're at least somewhat captivated by what you have to say. And this is when you take a good 20 to 30 seconds to tell them about your book, right? And the thing that you're hoping for is that they're going to be so compelled and find you so irresistible that they ask you another question and another question and another question, and then they buy your book. That's the elevator pitch. In other words, the reason why that phrase even came is because, you know, a lot of business deals are made on the golf course or even in the elevator ride. So the thought is, can you talk about your product or your book, your business, your ministry, whatever it may be, in the time it would take to go between two different floors? 30 seconds or less nowadays, because now they have turbo elevators that I don't want to be in, because that's a whole nother story. Okay. They're just too fast. You got my life in your hands, honey, with the rubber band. I just can't deal with it. Okay, so basically your goal, and LaTanya, thank you so much for you typing the commentary below. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for the hearts and everything. I appreciate that. So your goal, again, is to make them curious enough to either ask you questions or to ultimately buy your book. Now, I will say this. Let's get into the nitty gritty. For nonfiction books, I personally, it's just my own personal thought, I think it's a little bit easier. So if you've written a book like Smarty Puffs, or you've written a book like Elder LaTanya Pierce wrote the book, Elevate Your Faith. And then also we have Tasha Wilson, who wrote the book, Who Am I When Everything Is Silent? She just came out with her second book, but I don't have that in my hands just yet. If you've written books like that, where Smarty Puffs is talking about what children need, so it's solving a problem. Tasha's is talking about her life, right? And then we have Elevate Your Faith, which is a devotional, and it is 31 days to increasing your faith. It's kind of easy to talk about what those are about, because mainly a nonfiction book generally will solve a problem, or it's talking about your life story. And I will tell you, I'm going to have to do a scope on how to turn your book into the opportunity excuse me, for speaking engagements. But I will tell you, one secret for being an irresistible speaker is being able to tell your business in a way that sounds like a story and it captivates people. People love knowing your business, honey. They just do. Trust me, they love knowing your business. So if you've written a nonfiction book, it's pretty easy. And this is the formula. Number one, what's the title of your book? And you might want to get a piece of paper for this. What is the title of your book? The second thing is, in a couple of words, why did you write the book? And then finally, what are the benefits of the book for your reader? Very simple, cut and dry, 30 seconds. So let's take Smarty Puffs, for example. If I were to do a quick elevator speech of this, I would say, and I generally do this a lot. So I recently just released my book, Smarty Puffs. It's a bilingual book for children of color. And it's a book that teaches children of color how to speak Spanish. Now, of course, I was a little bit all over the place, but you get that, right? Literally, it took 2 sentences. I typed it out because I wanted to make sure I was right, even though I didn't say it as eloquent as it was on my paper. But, so I quickly told you what the book was, I told you who it was for, and I told you the problem that it solves. It always works. That works for everybody. I don't care if you're in my target audience or not. Everybody's intrigued. Ooh, you wrote a book for children of color? Oh my gosh, it's great. You wrote a book about Spanish? Oh, that's great. It always sparks a conversation, okay? So again, if you've written a nonfiction book, devotional, commentary, books that actually teach something, a children's book that might teach something or, help a child do something better. Those types of books, a book about your life, those are generally very easy to write your elevator speech for. You got your title, so obviously you got to work that in there because you got to tell them what the book is called, especially if you picked a great title. We talked about that a couple of days ago, right? Second, why did you write the book? And you don't have to say, I wrote this book because, but work in your why. Work that in there, and then the benefits for the reader. Sum that up in like 20 to 30 words because basically you're looking at a word per second, right? You want it to be very quick. All right. Now for a fiction novel, for me, my own personal opinion, it's a little bit trickier to kind of come up with something like that. I don't feel like that formula applies directly to a fiction novel. I don't think so. I'm going to take the novel that I wrote a couple years ago. Do not look at this cover. It is a hot mess. This was 10 years ago when I was just starting to design. Not cute. Okay, anyway, meet me at the altar. And look, one of my kids scratched over. It's not cute, honey. It's not cute. Anyway, meet me at the altar back then. If somebody were to ask me, hey, what's that book about? And it's funny, the book has a totally different cover now. It's a lot prettier now. But I could very easily say to them, meet me at the altar. It's a Christian romance novel, and it chronicles the lives of 4 different adults while they battle everything from domestic violence, drug abuse, and prostitution. And the basis of the book is to show how they find their quest for love, acceptance, and discovering the power of God. Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you, the one word that everybody falls all over is the word prostitution. Don't ask me why, but that's the buzzword. So what you want to do is you definitely want to use descriptive words. Hi, Dr. Millsap. Thank you so much. Oh, Dr. Millsap says I'm on point. Listen, this is Dr. Millsap. I love her. Dr. Millsap is a Tameka Inc. author, and I love Dr. Millsap because she'll say, hey, Tameka, girl, how you doing, girl? That's the way she talks to me. I love her. She is amazing. Dr. Millsap just recently released her second book, and her book is called I Am. I mean, you got to get it, Dr. Alice Millsap. Hey, you doing, girl? I love her. So now I will tell you the formula for when you're working with a fiction novel. This is kind of the way I think it works. Obviously, you want to talk about the title of the book. Again, get that in there. Let people know what your book is called. Introduce either the main character, and you could either introduce them by name or introduce their situation. So in this story, I literally go back and forth between 4 different adults. They're both men and they're women. And all of them are battling something different. Like I said, they're battling domestic violence, drug abuse, prostitution. Each adult in here is dealing with a different issue. So for me, it was just easier for me to hit everybody in the face with all those issues, especially 10 years ago, well, about 11 years ago now. These issues, like, people just were gravitating toward them, and so that's why I put them in there. So you want to have the title of the book, introduce the main character either by name or their circumstance, and then kind of summarize the conflict and what the hopeful resolution is at the end, okay? And so that's kind of what I did with what I just told you about. So I'm going to give you a couple of quick tips. First of all, when you're developing your elevator speech, is you can start with the synopsis of your book. Hopefully you've put a lot of time into thinking about your synopsis, what goes on the back cover, okay? And I'm going to be talking about book descriptions and synopsis on a different author training, but for the purpose of this, hopefully you have taken some time, you've looked at your synopsis and really worked that so that it's the type of synopsis that would make you want to buy the book if you read it. So you can start with your synopsis. Remember, you want to keep this to 20 to 30 seconds, which means it's going to be 20 to 30 words, okay? Basically, you got to look at it like it's a word per second. If you talk slower, because I know I speak like Speedy Gonzalez sometimes. So if you speak slower, you might need to use less words, okay? Use descriptive words. Use those words that are going to give you a big bang for your buck, right? Those words, like I said, for me, I knew at the time prostitution and talking about drug abuse and all that stuff and domestic violence was going to capture the attention of people. I don't know why I knew that 11 years ago, but I did. So, and it worked. It worked. I mean, this was a bestseller. I sold thousands of these books, which was really cool. Don't be afraid to write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite your elevator pitch. Record yourself doing it. All of us, especially if you have a smartphone, most of those come equipped with a voice recorder already on the phone. Use that and say it to yourself. You can go ahead and read it. The second thing I would suggest, though, is just try to say it because you want to work this into a conversation. Okay. Also, use the pitch on people that you know and that will be willing to be honest with you. Okay. And LaTanya can tell you, she and I, we work very closely. LaTanya is an amazing book marketing coach. And so we work very closely together. A lot of our clients work with the both of us. And I'm always talking to her, whether it's me saying, am I describing my business the right way? Am I describing what I do in my ministry? Does this make sense for how I am talking about my book? I do it all the time. And if she tells me it's a hot mess, it's a hot mess. And if she tells me it's good, then I know that it's good. So connect with people that you know are going to be very honest with you. Let me do a quick recap because we've come to the end of the authorcast. All right. So the way to create an irresistible, delectable elevator speech for your book is to, number one, determine what the book is about. You got to know what your book is about. You got to know that you know that you know that you know what your book is about so you can effectively talk about it. Because listen, if your elevator speech is good, they're going to ask you questions. And please be able to talk about your book. Okay. You also need to know who it was written for. Oh, thanks. LaTanya, you know I got a whole bunch of energy. So you also need to know who it's written for. Again, if you have not seen my training that I did yesterday about how to find your target audience, you're going to want to look for that because pretty soon I'm going to take it off of Facebook. It's going to be on the website. And either way, you'll still be able to get it for free. Isn't that great? But anyway, you want to know who it's written for. Once you know your audience, you can use that as a major marketing strength for yourself. Number one, for the purpose of this, you know exactly who to talk to. You'll be able to clue in on different buzzwords. Okay. Like remember I said, I've sold my book to 2 major organizations for myself that I would have never thought about. They weren't necessarily in my target audience, to the T. They weren't African-American moms, but they were women, they were mothers, and they enjoyed culture. And because of that, I just threw it out there, honestly, because I just wanted to be impressive, right? And I just kind of threw it out there to talk about, hey, I wrote this book. This is what the book is for. And it opened up a major income stream that I had never even considered it. Okay. So know who you wrote the book for. For nonfiction books, those are the ones I'm talking about, like your biography, your memoirs, your devotionals, books that teach people, commentaries, different books like that. This is the formula that I use. Go with the title of your book, why you wrote the book, and the benefits of the book for the reader. You should be able to sum that up literally in 20 to 30 seconds. You really can do it. So you just got to work it and rework it. Again, the title of your book, why you wrote it, and the benefits for the reader. Sum that up, 20 to 30 seconds, okay? For a fiction novel, it's a little trickier, but once you got it, you're gonna hook people from the get-go. That is the title of the book. You're gonna talk about the main character or characters. Either you can call them by name if that makes sense for you to do that, or you can talk about their situation as a whole. That's what I did. And then you can summarize the conflict and the hope for the resolution. Don't give away the whole cow. Don't give it away, but you want to just kind of hook them so that they're either asking you more questions and they go ahead and pick up the book, okay? So that's the end of the author cast for tonight. Are there any questions for your girl? I'm going to wait for a quick second. And while I do that, I'm going to let my daughter walk outside and you guys are going to hear my my alarm. Go ahead.
Front door.
She saw me on this video. She's standing there looking at me like I'm crazy. Are there any questions for me about how to develop an irresistible elevator speech? Okay, well, listen. If you're looking for somebody to help you with your book, whether you're in the writing phase of your book or you have written your book and you're ready for your book to be published and released, we can help you with all of that. We can help you with all of that. Absolutely. We do everything from editing the book to, like I said, translating it into Spanish. We design it from the inside out. And the best part of it is you own 100% of your book. We don't keep any royalties. You own everything for yourself. I'd love for you to connect with me. www.tamekainc.com. Also, I love the fact that Latanya was here. She's been doing all of my commentary for me and keeping really great notes. So if you miss some things and you don't necessarily want to watch my face all in the camera, though I would hope that you would, you can go ahead and scroll through all those. You can find Latanya by going to www.latboyd.com and you'll be able to connect with her and get some really great marketing tips. She's an amazing marketing coach. Listen, you guys have a blessed night. Love you. Thank you, Shaquita. Thank you. I'm so glad you thought it was informative. Okay, Shakita, you're here. I have said your name different every time. Is it Shakita or Shaquita? Because I want to call you your name correct. I want to say it correctly. Is it with a W? Yeah, I know. Is it with a W or is it almost like a K? Because I have a cousin and she's Laquita. Oh, I said it right the first couple of times. All right, Shakita. Listen, you guys, Shakita is a really great, she's a coach. She works with people in terms of helping you to learn how to become a really great speaker. She also travels and she talks all about that stuff. So you definitely want to follow her as well. And I know that she just sent her second book. You just sent your second book to the editor, I think yesterday. So congratulations on that. And listen, you guys, remember you were created to make God famous because he is just simply splendid. You guys have a blessed night.